And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It is Wednesday, it is midweek, and we are about a week away from the first Springbok squad being announced. We are just 3 days away from the Currie Cup final, which will take place in Kimberley. The Greek was in the Currie Cup final for the first time in over 50 years. They're taking on the Pumas, and so we are, first of all, guaranteed a new Currie Cup champion, as well as a team that have always sort of been outside the sort of top 4, 5, even six best sides in the country. One of them will be crowned the Currie Cup champions this weekend, which is going to be flipping cool. So in amongst that, there is some transfer news happening. A couple of players moving in and around the world and within the South African side. Some big news for the Stormers in terms of apparently a big player, a major name signing is supposedly set to join the Stormers for next season. The Lions have, in fact, announced a signing. The Bulls have lost a pretty big and important player. And we also had Jacques Nienaber's press conference yesterday. And he spoke about a couple of things. And so we've got quite a lot to talk about. Now, before we sort of get into the Springboks and stuff like that, let's talk about, I suppose, some of the transfer news and stuff like that. It's a pretty big news in the transfer market for rugby is that Leon have officially announced the signing of Bulls flank Arno Botha. So we kind of knew it was all, but in fact I think it was pretty much even confirmed already that Arno Botha has been in conversations with a bunch of clubs overseas to leave the Bulls. That has been confirmed. Leon have announced that they have acquired him, so he will be plying his trade in the top 14 next season. We have also seen confirmation. Obviously, we don't have, there's been no official announcement there, but we know that Warwick Lunt has officially left the Stormers, so he will not be playing next season. Now, the big sort of question mark regarding the Stormers is now who replaces Warwick Lunt. And Clayton Blommetjies is a player who they were sort of set to replace him, but there has now been talk about a big name signing going to the Stormers already. And quite a few people ask sort of who it is. Names being thrown around are the likes of Lua Diaga, Villy LaRue, for example, is somebody who's people are saying that they reckon that's exactly who it is. So there's quite a couple of different names being thrown around. Now, we do know that Villy LaRue apparently has just built a very nice house down in the Cape. So everybody reckons that that's probably the reason why he's sort of being linked with that move, because first of all, they need a full back. Second of all, he's coming to the end of his career. And he'll probably want to be South African based in the build-up to the World Cup. So it would make a lot of sense for me for Villy LaRue to come, especially because he's under so much pressure from a national selection sort of point of view, from the fans at least. I don't think so much from the actual coaches, that his best chances of going to the World Cup and of being an important player, for me, would be to play under the Springbok coaches' noses, and that is to play within the URC, play in South Africa, and let them sort of and let him sort of really prove his worth once again, show that he still has the quality. Apparently, I haven't watched too much of the top league in Japan, but from all accounts, he's playing really, really well. So come and play really well in the URC and get people off your back. Come and really sort of prove that you still have the class and the caliber to do it at the highest level. So I think Villy LaRue to the Stormers would be a very intelligent signing. Obviously, Lua Diago would be a massive signing as well if they managed to sort of pull that off. Although all signs sort of more point to him going towards Japan. Same with Damien Delendi as well. So yeah, but I think from all accounts, from what I've heard from my side, I think it does sound like Villy LaRue is the most likely name, and I think it would be a fantastic signing for the Stormers. I think that I think it ticks a lot of boxes for everyone. But we'll have to wait and see, won't we? And the good news is the Lions have signed a player, and it is JB Smith's brother, Ruan Smith. So whilst the Stormers, and this is no offense to him at all, because I've actually been quite impressed, especially with JP Smith, for example, but the Stormers are apparently bringing in Villy LaRue. The Lions are signing a journeyman. And it just sort of shows you the difference, doesn't it? What will be quite interesting to those is to see who the Bulls go and sign, because the Bulls need to. They've lost in the last year Marco van Staden, Dwayne Vermeulen, Arno Buerta, as well as Nizam Carr, as well as Sintu Manjezi. So they are going to have to look to bolster their pack a bit. And I think that surprised me, for example, they didn't go all in on Vincent Tuka, who has gone to the Sharks. But I think that there are a couple. I wouldn't be surprised if you see, for example, maybe like a Sika Mozanoche being targeted by the Bulls. Maybe not exactly the sort of mold that Jake White wants, but in terms of the class of player available, I think they missed out on Willie Engelbrecht, for example. I think he's made for the Bulls, but they're going to have to look at adding somebody into that loose chair. They've got some very nice youngsters. Muller Ace is a very nice player. Ronald Ludwig, for example, very nice up and coming lock, but they need a bit of experience. So very interested to see what the Bulls go with there. Adam say, how's it, team? Watching your channel since June. Best rugby channel on YouTube, in my opinion. Keep up, man. Thank you so much. And Grant say, how's it, team? It'll be Willie. Remember, he is originally from Cape Town, hence the house. Yeah, well, that's why I think that it will. The good old Willie LaRue will apply his trade at the store, and I think he'll be the perfect sort of player for John Dobson. Went to Paul Lewis, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Many years ago, I suppose, for him, probably about 14 years ago. I think he's about 32 this year, I think. But yeah, Peter says Andre Pollard should not be a kicker. He will be though, because there's no other options really to play as kicker in that box squad. Matthew Dick said, I would have had a complete new box squad this season. No player with more than 10 caps and all the underage is 26 years old. There are 4 tests next year as well as training camps to finalize plans. Steve, how do you feel about Jan Surfton not being selected? Think he deserves a call up or not? I think he joins quite a long list of players who are very deserving of places, but there just aren't enough places. So I think Jan Servertain falls into that category. We talk about players like Pepsi Buthelezi, for example, Dylan Lates, for example, players who are playing incredibly well and probably deserve a call-up, but they're just not being enough space. I've always, again, I think that, and it shouldn't be, but there is sort of this notion that there's always going to be a biasness towards South African-based players because... And I know that they do the scouting, for example, Rand Elstad being called in from top 14, stuff like that. But I still believe that you have a better chance of making the this box squad if you're playing in South Africa for a South African franchise. If you look at the amount of players who have been called into the squad, for example, the new players, they're pretty much all... South African based. So, some people are sitting there saying, well, how has Curtly Arendse gotten a call up ahead of a Tyron Green or Dylan Lates, for example? And the small thing, for example, is the fact that he is playing in South Africa. So, somebody like Jan Serfontein, if he were to really want to get back into that box squad, I'm not saying he can't do it from overseas, but I think that he would give himself the best chance by coming back and playing in South Africa. Come back and play for the Lions, Leave Montpellier. You've had your cash. Come if it's a World Cup year and you wanted to make it. Look, it's probably too late. You probably need to have come this last season. But I think if you do want to play for the Springboks and you're not within the setup and you're on the fringes, you need to give yourself the best chance, and that would be, playing rugby in South Africa. So it's a difficult one, though, isn't it? Because it's the same time. There's no guarantee that you will play, and are you willing to give up that revenue, for example, and that cash that you can get right now on the off chance that you might make a World Cup, and there's no guarantee that you will make a World Cup. So it's a difficult decision to make. But I think Jan Serfontein really is the career that never really was. Never really played badly for the Boks either. I think the likes of JJ Engelbrecht, for example, was, I thought for me looked set to have quite a long Springbok career, but it's funny how things pan out, isn't it? Not that we need centers. We need an outside center. So as I said, I do think Jan Serfontein would add a lot of value to the Boks. But, between Damien de Allende, Andre Esterhuizen, you look at the rugby that Lekanya Am's playing, the rugby that David Willems is playing, in theory, we were right. But you do think that there are certain players who could definitely add value. Grant Swart saying Jake White is the perfect coach to bring in if you want your players to leave. The man is not universally liked. Puma's captain to go in Stormers. Yeah, Willie Engelbrecht is off to the Stormers. I think it's a fantastic signing. Alvin Linking says 6 Khaleesi, 7 PSDFs, Toy, 8 Marcel. Jake White is universal champion, though. He hasn't failed miserably anywhere. Joan says, I personally think he should have taken Curtie's place. His time will come. We all know it. We should take Jan while we have him in the current form. Says coaching Mark probably choice for first test. Do you think Stormers need a good center? I think they needed another. Actually, no. I mean, in theory, not. Because you've now got Damian Willemse at inside center. You've got Ronald outside center. Ronald, I thought, was actually very good this season. I think they probably need another option at outside center. They've got Rick Pretorius. They've got Dan du Plessis. Bit injury prone, both of them haven't quite taken the next step up and a little bit inconsistent. I would say the Stormers need. I mean, they're getting a hooker, which I think is a big acquisition for them. So I'd probably say, I think they need another scrum off. I think that Paul de Vet and Godlin Similar are a little bit substandard, and Hershey Young at the moment for me is not being pushed enough. You know, if you go and bring in a really well, having said that, they're going to be bringing Stefan Unger, and I'm a big fan of him, so maybe not so much, but yeah, I think they need a bit of depth at out center, assuming of course that like Dan du Plessis and the likes are going to be there next season. I've got no idea if he's still contracted. They're kind of hitting the age there where they might go overseas for a bit. Who started 8 and 15 for the first test? Well, we're going to talk about that in a bit. So let me go through the comments and we're going to talk about the Springbok test next week. Are you saying Jan should come to the Lions as a SA supporter or a Lions supporter? Yes. Definitely. Well, I mean, to be fair, as an SA supporter, you won't coming back here. And where is he going to play? Where would he make the most difference? You know, if he's going to play at inside center, for example, Damian Willemse is the incumbent inside center at Stormers. Rowan Janssen van Rensburg has just signed at the Sharks. So for me, it has to be either the Bulls or the Lions. Bulls do have Cornel Hendricks, and they've got Harold Forster, Amal Poo, and Steban Gans. And apparently looking one to see the Sibolani. So their center depth is pretty decent. The Lions have lost Berger Ordendal. They've got Henkoff and Vake at outside center. Sibolani does go. We've got nobody at inside center. So I personally think that he would be a fantastic addition to the Lions side. And he would play week in, week out, and he'd be a star in a side that's not maybe playing the best of rugby, and I think that would be a really good thing for South African rugby, because I think SA rugby also need to help the Lions compete. Same thing with the Cheetahs. You know, they've got Frans Steyn, they've got Ruan Pienaar. Need to make sure that they've got some good players. But if you added a Jan Serfontein and a world class, a couple of players to the Lions, and they started playing really well, it would benefit everybody. But I do think that he would add the most value at the Lions because they are desperate for some centers, especially of his caliber. Johnny says, I think we have the best chance to beat the All Blacks in Rugby Championship this season. I believe Rick Pretorius signed in Japan. Well, there we go. That's what I'm saying. So we don't actually know who's going to be around next season. Adam says he'd like to see Jake White as Ireland's coach. He would make the team a World Cup contender. The Stormers are light in the lock department. We need JD Schickerling back. Well, yeah, and that's why there were rumors about Lourdes Diago and the likes. But you got some right. Problem is you've lost JD Schickerling. You then lost David Mayerhazen to retirement. So you got Salman Murat and Marvin Ori. I don't particularly rate RJ Smith. I think he's a walking penalty and just has so many disciplinary issues. But he is the reinforcement that Stormers did go to. So yeah, I mean, if I was the Stormers, I'd be looking at very much be looking at a lock. Probably a good position that needs strengthening. The Greek was number 13 and starts to show his true colors. He's one of the players to look out for. Matthew says true, but does a club owner want a winning team and a few unhappy players, or happy players but a losing team? Some players need to toughen up. Yeah, I'll be fair, but Jake White does have a bit of a reputation of sometimes of pissing some people off. But in terms of what we are going to see next week, so Jacques Nienaber spoke yesterday a little bit about the plan. What are we doing? In terms of next season and stuff like that. And some of the quotes he said that we've got a plan, and with the players, and hopefully we'll have 3 South African A games coming up in November. Remember, I spoke about the fact that they're looking to have those midweek games against club sides. So that's a bit of confirmation that is on the cards. He says that'll give us an opportunity to expand and be creative in terms of team selection, but we also have a plan that's worked out for the year in terms of when and where to play players. That plan can and will change according to results and injuries. If you pick up 2 injuries in a position, then a certain player may end up starting. That's something we'll monitor closely, and it's a balancing act that we'll need to get right. If there's a chance to expose players to the highest level, then we will. However, that'll be determined by the momentum we build. And I think that's a very important point. You don't build depth by just throwing players onto a field and letting them lose. You build depth by introducing players systematically into a working, functioning environment where they can thrive. You don't build depth by going and saying, let's start a brand new, we're going to start Grant Williams next to Damian Willems at 10, with Andre Esterhuizen at 12, Jesse Kriel at 13, Curtly Arendse at fullback, Fassi on the wing, and who's another outside back? I don't know, even if we go to the Pimpy, and then you say, and then you start a very second string pack and say, just, flourish. For me, you build depth by saying, right, Damon Dealindi plays the first 2 tests against Wales, Andre Esterhuizen comes in for that third test, or Damian Willems comes in at that third test, or maybe Andre Esterhuizen plays, the second and the third test, for example. Or even if he plays all 3 tests, but you then go say, right, Pollard at 10, Lekanya Am at 13, and then Andre Esterhuizen at 12. So you've got your incumbent flower half, you've got your world-class outside centre, and then you say, right, Andre Esterhuizen, you're playing really good rugby. We're going to integrate you into the existing backline. Go and flourish. Play Ches and Currie, play Marcus Pimpy, maybe play Warwick Halant. Bringing 1 or 2 players in a system that's already working quite well, as opposed to just wholesale changes and players who are trying to find their way at test level, don't have any guidance around them, for me, becomes a recipe for disaster. So that's why I think, people need to be very understanding in that it's about integrating players correctly and not just for the sake of it. And I do think and I think that Jacques about spot on in terms of results and injuries, because you go and win the first 2 tests against Wales, it gives you that third test as an opportunity to bring in players. And again, I wouldn't bring in wholesale changes, but I would say, right, who is very settled? What positions do we need to look at? And how can we then move it? So, for example, he said that they're going to, they're going to stick it with what's worked for them in the past. And at the end of the day, we're talking about test match rugby. We're talking about results-based rugby. Test match rugby is not the opportunity to say, you get a chance, you get a chance, you get a cap, you get a cap, and let's just make sure all the youngsters get a go. You've got to make sure that you earn your right to play test rugby, and it also needs to mean something. And importantly, it's results-based, because the problem is, it's all very easy saying right now, oh, we'd rather lose and build depth than to just keep playing these old guys. But how long does that last? Let's be perfectly honest. Last year, we lost to Australia twice, and all of a sudden, we were having an absolute meltdown. People were calling for Jacques Nienaber to be sacked. People were calling for or questioning the credentials of the other coaches. People were saying that this player is hopeless, this player is hopeless. We all had a complete meltdown about it. And then we beat New Zealand, and suddenly everything was okay. So, we need to understand that they've got a plan. We need to respect the plan. They've never given us a reason to question them. They've got a British Outline Series. They've got a Rugby Championship, not last year, but 2019, and they've got a World Cup. So they've got a plan, and the plan is to stick with what they know and to reward players who have taken the opportunity and gone with it. So, if you look at last year, I think the players who played well last year and stuff like that will keep their spots. And I think that, for example, the big question is number 8. Jasper Wiese is the incumbent number 8 in many ways after Dwayne Vermeulen. When Dwayne Vermeulen was injured, Jasper Wiese played. Jasper Wiese got man of the match at the Premiership final. I would start Jasper Wiese in the first test against Wales, even though I've got my doubts about him, and it's more from a soft skill point of view than his ball carrying ability. I think his discipline, for example, I think he has had a very big work on his discipline, so I think hopefully that's sorted. My issue more comes with the soft skills, his catching, passing, positional play, that kind of thing. And I'm happy to be proven wrong. And please go and prove me wrong, because we want the best players. But I would still start Jasper Wiese and say, you were the second choice here last year, therefore you're going to play. Quacker Smith, for example, could be an option at 8. I quite like him off the bench, but I think he needs to be introduced relatively quickly. But I think that he offers something quite different. So I think that somebody like him has to be in the 23, because I think he's a completely different type of player to what we have normally. So I wouldn't, for example, say, right, Evan Lewis, you're starting the first test with Wales. No. reward the guys who've been there, and then say, right, Jasper, you're going to get 2 tests, and then everyone else is going to have a go in the last test. And you could, for example, in the last test, you could sit there saying, right, Evan Lewis is going to start 40 minutes, and we're going to have Albert Lowe on the bench because he can cover 7 and 8. He can cover everywhere in the back row. And we're going to give him an opportunity as well. But bring these players in the right way and not just hand out jerseys and just say, right, guys, go flourish when they're not in an environment to do so. Salman Murat, for example, is somebody who they obviously believe in. The question is, when do they bring him in? Ruan Nokia, for example, I think is very deserving. So I would very much look at starting Ruan Nokia next to Evan Etzebeth in one of the tests. But the important part there is next to Evan Etzebeth. Or you have Salman Murat starting next to Luat Diaga. Let these players play with the experience, or on the bench so they can come on. Ruan Nokia can make his debut and he can come in his first line. He's got Evan Etzebeth there. He's got, Malcolm Mark throwing the ball into the lineup and stuff, and he feels more comfortable. You can't just play a B team, for example. That's what South Africa A is for, not for Test match rugby. Joan says, a player I regrettably forgot about in the forward pack who I thought has potential was also JJ van der Mesht. Yeah, I think he needs to sort out his fitness a bit. So I'll be interested to see how he does develop overseas. Grant Swart says, RJ Smith is a bottomless pit of stupidity. Should not be anywhere near the Stormer squad. I tend to agree, unfortunately. For a guy that was cleared of eye gouging because there's no evidence to then do what he did in that semi-final, it's just brainless. Johnny Pierre says 100% Box should use Liverpool's recruitment policy, phase players in. Wesley Adams says, how's the tournament going to work next season for franchises? Well, it's exactly the same as this season, except that we will also be playing in the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup, and the draw will be next week Tuesday, which we're going to be doing live, by the way. So make sure that you mark that down in your calendars. It's on the 28th, which I think is next week, Tuesday. Gareth says, I don't think STAS has anything to prove at test level. As long as they integrate different people than the usual second string guys, I hope they don't just stick to Kwaka and Visa as the second string loose forwards and test New York sufficiently. Well, look, to be fair, I mean, to say that to just use Jasper Visa, he's played 6 tests, 7 tests. How many tests has he played? 8 tests. So he's still under 10 caps. So he still needs time in an international jersey as well. Jaden Hendrickson, for example, only had the 1 test cap. Andre Esterhuizen doesn't have a lot of caps. So these guys still will need some opportunity. Even the second string, Joseph Dweber, for example, is played 6, 7 caps. Not even, actually. I think you might even play fewer than that. So he also needs opportunity to play. Even before, if you were to put like a Johan Krabbelov. He's got 1 cap, I think, as old Joseph Dweber. I'm sure he's got 2. So these players also need opportunity. Alpha says Visa will probably not be available for the first test. So Kwaka and Marcel first in line for 8. The back line 8 and front row unchanged. Locks will include Luat, Eben, and Mostert in some combination. Well, that's the thing, Luat, Eben, and Franco Mostert have to be in the 23 in our base 23. They are all in our base 23. Whether you go, and the weird thing is that it's difficult because how do you leave Luat Diaga out starting lineup? But I think that Franco Mostert is wasted on the bench because he doesn't provide the same sort of bomb squad impact, and he's also got that engine that continues going. So I always think that Franco Mostert should be starting a test match and Luat Diaga coming in at after half time. And the nice thing is you can shift Franco Mostert to the flank. You can take him off, but for me, he's an 80-minute player. He is as good in the first minute as he is in the 80th minute. He was one of our most important players against the British Irish Lions. So I think you need to use him as much as you can because he just doesn't run out of energy. Davo says, look forward to see Peter Steph Toy play since winning player of the year. He's had lots of injuries. Agreed. Do you think Moscow Seal will be a good impact player in the bomb squad, or is he a better starter? I think he could do a job either. I think he can bring in quite a good impact, but I think he'll be just as good starting. HJH says to not show the world all their new moves. Adam said, I hope they bring Kutsia as Dwayne's replacement. We could see how he was able to almost perfectly replace Dwayne well at the Bulls. I saw a rumor of Similani going to Bulls. Is this true? Or I've also seen a lot of rumors. Nothing's been confirmed yet. So we'll wait and monitor what goes on there. If you win the first 2, then we can start to build depth. I know Jacques said that they will fight to win every match, but I don't think it's so important this year, so we don't peak No, I think it is important. I think the momentum is important. I think that how long do when we've been losing, do the fans continue going? It's okay, and because I think you do need to be able to build momentum and stuff like that, and also build confidence. You don't a second string side losing to Wales doesn't do anybody's confidence any good. Whereas if you can sit there building a couple of players and they get sort of, winning needs to become a habit. Winning is a habit. That's why the All Blacks were so good between that 2011 2015 World Cup. Those 5 years where every single time they walked into the field, losing wasn't an option. They just didn't lose. And that's kind of where we need to get to, where losing is not an option, where losing is like, I can't believe we lost. That's unacceptable. We need to do better than that because we are a side that do not lose. John says the Roots and Itzebeth as lock partners and the Sharks will be a battering ram to play against. Yeah, assuming they play the both of them, I reckon I personally would look at maybe hiring Andrews with Eben Itzebeth. I thought he was playing very well last year. Didn't really get much opportunity. Also been interesting to see where they play Brand Krobler, for example. How do you think the Box will line up for the first test? I think pretty similar to whatever they were last year, except a couple of players in for the ones who were injured. Clint says, someone should tell Mark Anderson not drink and tweet. Yeah, well, I saw that, that, what did he say? I think we have to win 3-0 because any team that loses to Italy at home, I mean, I don't understand how someone can claim to be an informed voice about rugby and not understand that Italy are actually becoming quite a good side. That yes, they haven't had the best results, but if you actually watched them, there has been progress in that side, and I don't think there's much shame in losing to Italy. He also said that losing Italy is the barometer, and yet France, who won the Grand Slam, only scored points against Wales in the first 10 minutes, and it was like the closest game they had the entire season was against Wales. That same Wales side that lost against Italy, so yeah, I think it's just such a stupid comment to sit there saying, well, because they lost to Wales, we have to beat the 3-0 because otherwise we are a joke. The relevance for me is just blows my mind. Dante says, I'm so glad that some people commented here are not the coach. The guy says Pollard is your one, also left your manners in the toilet and nothing. Anderson agree. I feel Moscow will have a significant role to play come Rugby World Cup. Do we try to work towards achieving a good 60 split to the Rugby World Cup? I heard the Sharks going to sign Jordan Hendrickson. No, they're not. Jordan Hendrickson is already committed for next season. What happens after that, I don't know. But yeah, but Pollard does need. He is the incumbent fly halfman again. Now starting tomorrow against Wales. He does need to have a better season because he was not up to scratch last year. And he was came off the back of an injury, which is fine. But we now need to see the Pollard of the World Cup. And if he doesn't, then we need to start. We want to start panicking a little bit. And he says if they want to stay number one. Obviously, the All Blacks would never say it's okay to lose one test to test new players, so neither should the Box, 100%. I think Herbst is leaving, says Josh. 3 Box A games in November. On a different note, by the way, tomorrow there is a Springbok function. It's their first in-person press conference and like a whole come and meet Jock Nienaber in the squad function. And I am going. And the reason I'm telling you that is because I'm going to be taking you guys with me. And I'm going to be putting the entire thing on my Instagram and going behind the scenes, hopefully meeting a couple of Bok players tomorrow, chatting to a couple of coaches, being there in the press conference. So I'm going to put my link in the description. And so if you want to come and check that out tomorrow, obviously we're going to record the press conference and that will be up. And I'm also going to do a vlog, which is going to go on my own channel. But it's going to be really cool. I'm very excited. It's in Pretoria. I'm going to go through there. SuperSport are hosting us all. And it should be quite a cool opportunity to sort of see what's going on and chat to the box and stuff like that. So if you want to follow me there and see what's going on, then please do go follow me on Instagram. And even if you don't want to do it, please go follow me on Instagram because... yeah, I need the clout here, guys. I need you guys to back me up here. I got to try and start building the brand here. You guys can go watch. You can see a lot of funny golf photos, some terrible cricket shots. Yeah, let's get on the ground. But that will all be tomorrow on Instagram. I might even do an Instagram live to really sort of show everybody what's going on. So let's go and do that. John is saying, do you think the All Blacks are past their sell-by date? I think they're in a rebuilding phase. So I think that they've kind of lost that little bit of a... I think they've lost their aura and to a certain degree. You know, they'll always have the All Blacks, the most successful team of all time. But I don't think they've got that that like scare factor anymore. I don't look at an All Black side and think there's no chance. Like there's absolutely no chance, which I used to, 10 years ago. When you used to see players, I mean, like for example, like the form that like Ben Smith used to be in. You had Maya Nanu, you had Sonny Bill, you had Dan Carter playing some of the most ridiculous rugby ever. You had, Richie McCaw and Kieran Reid and, Brody Retallick is one of the best players in the world. You had that ridiculous front row. You sat there going, I can't see how we beat this side. I don't feel that anymore with New Zealand. I look at them and think we can get it. We can have a go at them. So I think they're very much in a rebuilding phase. They're bringing a lot of new players in. So I think that if Foster gets it right, they will be quite good. Because you don't just lose that, but they are in a bit of a rebuilding phase, which we've also been in. So we need to try and capitalize on that. John says, "Bye, Steve. The dedication amount of work you put on our channel is inspiring. Real piece of work. You should be proud. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. I need to do more. You guys will be very aware that I haven't done as much as I used to do, and I want to do a lot more. But I really, really appreciate that because it's nice to know that some people do appreciate it. So thank you so much." Albert says the All Blacks won't win World Cup in France, but they are still very difficult to beat. Always in building, 100%. Matthew says, I heard all COVID regulations are going to be dropped. Hopefully, we can buy tickets for the tests. Yeah. So at this stage, the Minister of Health released a thing that they're going to be discussing in Parliament in the next couple of days. Masks are going to go. Restrictions in stadiums are going to go. We are back to normal if that happens. Literally, if that happens, I will do a backflip. I can't do a backflip. I might break my neck doing it. But it'll be so nice to go back to normal. We've got bigger problems than COVID right now. COVID was a big issue. I agree 100%. Cool. I'm over it now. We've got bigger issues like the economy and shit like that and maybe matches to win. So hopefully that'll happen. We'll be able to pack out Loftus next weekend and have have a really big celebration. But for you that are not in Loftus, you're going to be right here. You're going to be live on this channel. I'm going to be chatting rugby. Ever says Dion Free might have put himself into a great position to make Rugby World Cup squad, not match day per se, because his ability to play loose forward and hooker, so they might not need a third hooker. Just a thought. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. If we do go with the two hookers and stuff like that, although he does very much say he doesn't want to play hooker anymore. Everybody keeps saying, how are you in the back? And he's no, he doesn't want to do it. He wants to stay with a number 6 in the back, but he can't do it if really needs be. Luke says, off-topic question, but do you think the Crusaders would be favourites to beat a full-strength Leinster in Dublin? I don't know, actually. I think that Leinster probably beat them if Leinster played to the best of their abilities. But that Crusaders depends. Is it in a Super Rugby final? Because if it's in a Super Rugby final, Crusaders just don't lose, do they? Scott Robertson just has instilled an incredible winning culture and belief in that side where they just do not roll over. SC 20 playing on Friday. Yes, they are. We will be live for that game. I will publish the schedule tomorrow, but we are going to go live for the SC 20 game, which will be quite a lot of fun. So come and join me for that. I'm arguing between doing the top 14 final or the SC 20, and I feel like the SC 20 is probably the better game to do. More interesting game for me. I've got more investment in that. Obviously, top 14 would be better rugby, but I think the SC 20 would be quite cool to see some of the youngsters playing and stuff. Honey says, so done. We shared the series against India. We should have won, but the games were rigged to bring in more fans. I met this SA guy at the Best Buy in Atlantic Terminal in Brooklyn once. He called Sonny Bill Williams Sonny Boy. Albert says, off-topic Crusaders, best provincial team on the planet by a very long way. John says, when your channel grows as much as you intend, God willing, are looking to cover more sports in SA or looking for a more broader perspective. I want to bring in more sports. That's the biggest thing. Because first of all, I do watch a lot more than just rugby. And I want to share that, and I want to build a similar culture. I watch so much football. But I don't really get to share that, and I want to start doing that more because, the whole point of me starting was for me to create a platform for myself to express my opinion, to get myself back out there, and to sort of do a bit more sort of the journalism work that I always thought I'd do, but in a bit of a different space. And I find that this is a much better space because I don't I've never liked telling people what to do. I've always liked engaging with people, and that's what this platform allows. But I don't do enough football, and I'd like to bring that more in. Starting to try and get back into Formula One. I'd like to do more cricket. So the idea is to get a bit broader. Not necessarily just in South Africa, probably do more sort of like Premier League, Champions League football, because that's the biggest sort of football you want to try and do. Football World Cup at the end of the year, for example. And yeah, we've obviously got the golf podcast, which is on a bit of sabbatical, but we've got a big meeting tomorrow for that. So I'm really enjoying getting into my golf, and we're going to start doing a lot of Sunshine Tour stuff. We're going to be talking to tour pros. So as a brand, we're very rugby orientated at the moment. We want to start becoming a bit more diverse, and obviously it comes with the support of you guys, because I'm very aware if I go live for a football match tomorrow, we're not going to have the 4,000 people watching me do it on Saturday. But if we can get to 200-300 people and we can start becoming worth it, and we can just start sort of building a bigger audience. I'd like Forever Sports to really become a diverse sports community, far more than just rugby, because it's nice. I'm a sports fan more than a rugby fan. I do watch tennis, golf, cricket, footy. I watch anything that's sport. So I want that's what this community needs to be about. It needs to be about watching sport. It's not just forever rugby. It's forever sports, and we want to do lots of different things. But obviously, we need to have the stuff we lean on to try and make this channel viable. And that's also actually why we need to bring in more sports. Because if we only do rugby, it unfortunately is not going to be a viable and sustainable business. We need to bring in other sports to be able to bring the diversity. And it all happens because of your guys' support. So yeah, that's the road we are on. We've got a massive 6 months ahead of us. In fact, the entire channel's future basically rides on the next 6 months, and whether it does take off and we can get certain things right. If we can't, then I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep doing it. But I'm hoping by the end of the year, we've built a business model and a functional model that works, that we can keep going permanently. And this can become something really special. I feel like I've got, and I know this is very South African, and we do have a worldwide audience, but I feel like we've stumbled on one of the biggest YouTube sporting communities in South Africa. And I would like to continue pioneering that. I think that YouTube hasn't really entered the South African space in the way that it had overseas. You think of the football fan channel and stuff like that. It was so big overseas. It was always quite strange to me that South Africa had never really done it, which is why I started doing it. And I think that we've already seen that there is a big demand for it. So yeah, if you guys are going to stick with me, then let's make the magic happen. Be part of the journey as well, because every single view counts, every single like counts, every single member counts, every single comment counts. And at the end of the day, if I'm just talking to a camera and nobody's there watching or engaging, none of this works. But it is working at this stage. It is going in the right direction, and also all because of you guys. So let's keep building this, can't we? As Matthew said, check out the golf podcast. It's good fun. A ton of sports, the Olympics, wrestling, boxing, UFC, and it continues. Dad's absolutely loving your channel. Always thought it was weird. We had so few quality SA rugby YouTubers. Would love to see more cricket, F1, football content. Keep it up. Well, ask and you shall receive. We do have plans for a football transfer, a multi-week football transfer show. We are going to start bringing in Formula One. We do already have the golf going, and we are going to start looking at cricket as well. So we are going to try and hopefully be able to provide something for everyone. Adam says football is like Bitcoin, the trend is past, rugby is the Ethereum, better game starting now. Listen, that football is just so big. Will the Premiership guys be available for selection on Sunday, because that's when the squad is selection? Yeah, so that's the whole thing. A couple of people saying that some of them might not be available, which would take, for example, Jasper Wiese out the running, because Section 9 I think they're only available from this Sunday. So unless they release them, specifically the clubs release them, then they can't come and train. So, for example, you look at the photos today, there was no Andre Esterhuizen, there was no Jasper Wiese, from what I saw. These go to the photos. It's Marcel, Evan, Lucanio, Kitsov, Dion Ferry, the Pimps, Peter Steph Toys there, Renat Ulstad's there, Kurt Lawrence is there, Samarat, Marvin Ori, Sia, Evan Roos, Frans Maherber, there's Trevor there, there's Sukum Kunu in that one, there's Evan. Yeah, so those are the players. So we didn't see, well, tomorrow I'll be able to tell you exactly who's there and who's not there. So Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go follow me on Instagram because then you can see it yourself. um, but they were saying first page to your friends, guys. Yeah, please. That's the whole thing. You know, if you guys can, if everyone here refers someone that's an extra 100 subscribers, for example, then that's how we're going to that's how we're going to grow. Matthew says, "Seven know how to hype each other up. Try to get more people to help with each take a sport to focus on." Yeah, so we've got those sort of conversations happening in the background in terms of how we're going to try and build it. So those conversations are taking place. So we just need to sort of find out how we're going to navigate the whole environment. John says, "SA is very much in tune with rugby. You'd probably reach a lot more people should you cover different sports such as mega companies like the Olympics, NBA, WWE." Off the top of my head, yeah, and the nice thing is as well, we've got the South African base, but now we need to get the international audience. We need to make ourselves nice and diverse because how cool would it be? And I think the best part about this channel is the fact that people are quite measured and not sort of freak out. But I want to get to a situation when we are playing against the All Blacks and we've got All Blacks fans in, we've got South African fans in, and we can have healthy debate. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a rivalry, and you can take the piss a little bit, like we do when the Stormers play the Sharks and stuff like that, and then they're guys who would know each other and stuff. But that's what I want to do. I don't just want this to become like a South African channel and we just sit there bashing the All Blacks for 80 minutes while we play against them. Let's have cool, healthy debate. Let's learn more about them. We've got people who've got other perspectives, people who know more, put it all in the conversation, and hopefully we are all a little bit richer for doing it all, which is the plan. But anyway, we'll start wrapping up because we have gone past the sort of usual half an hour around there. Mark, so I got a last couple of comments. Why is Dwayne not a Springbok? Because he had a surgery on his knee for a long-term injury, which is hopefully going to sort that out there. So he should be back for, I don't know when he's going to be back actually, but he will be back once he's recovered. David says, now we're dipping our toes in the Northern Hemisphere and talks of us moving to the Six Nations. Do you think SRB can sustain a 12-month season? Yeah, I don't know about the. I'm still very 50-50 about the Six Nations. I think it becomes a very difficult schedule for us to keep if we were to try and do Six Nations and the Rugby Championship. Obviously, if you were to move the Rugby Championship, then you've got that August September sort of period that you can chill and rest a bit. But everybody was saying that we have to be playing the All Blacks every year. So yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do with that one. It's an interesting one. Basically says, what show? I would never. Yeah. Come on, we have to love to watch the All Blacks, just a little be honest. Yeah, look, as long as it's all in good spirits, I think that's the problem. I think some people get very personal. I don't know why. Have you seen a channel called Two Cents Rugby? He's a Kiwi guy. Yeah, I have seen him. So we are looking at doing some collabs and stuff like that. We're putting our feelers out for it. Double says the Dianti video was quality, lots of info I was unaware of. That's actually quite an old video. We actually republished when we restarted Forever Rugby. So it's actually very out of date in many ways. Because I think that we released it originally in 2020. I don't even think it was last year that we actually originally released it. Trying to see where the yeah, actually it was about a year ago. So it was last year in August. That we did the Dianti video. So it's funny how it's resurfacing because we're busy uploading to other channel stuff like that. But yeah, I must actually do a catch up on the Dianti situation. I'd love to get him on the channel actually. Come here and chat to us and say what's been going on. What's your chat? Alex says, do you think the All Blacks will clap? Do you think the Box will clap the All Blacks this year? I don't think we'll ever hammer them. I don't think we've got it in us. In terms of the rivalry, even that 57-0 was a very strange result because historically the games tend to be close. So I don't think we'll ever run riot, but I do think we've got a good chance of beating them twice. Playing All Blacks at both altitudes, so Box favorites. Yeah, I think they've done that quite deliberately. Anyway, people, that's going to wrap up for today. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. As I said, please go and follow me on Instagram because tomorrow we are going to be going potentially live on Instagram. We're going to be doing photos and updates of the whole Springbok function that's happening tomorrow. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be very fun. And I want to take you guys with me. It's the whole point of this channel, take you guys close to the action. So please do go and follow me on Instagram so that you can be part of that. And then obviously the press conference will be uploaded tomorrow. And yeah, we've got a lot more content coming your way. I hope you're going to be getting a URC 5 things we learned out today. Friday, we're going to be launching our football transfer show, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to do that. And then I hope we've got some fan forums and stuff like that on the way as well. Please do keep safe. Please do continue to support the channel as much as you can. Really do appreciate all of it. Please do smash like and stuff like that. Refer your friends. Let's try and build ourselves. We're on the cusp of 12,000 subscribers. We need less than 100 people to get there. So if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe so that this weekend we can be talking about going the road to 30,000. But yeah, please do keep safe, and we'll chat to you guys all.